In our first 25 years, WGU has awarded more than 280,000 degrees and counting. You, our faculty and staff, in your support of our students and of your colleagues, have changed literally millions of lives. The lives of our graduates, their families, the students and patients they nurture and care for, the companies where they work. It's been a tremendous achievement, and you've done it within the framework of 4 professional colleges. This spring, we announced a plan to broaden our scope with the introduction of 4 broad schools. Each school will house a number of discipline-specific colleges and program groups, a structure that will allow us to expand the types of credentials we offer and the profile of the students we serve, while retaining our famous focus on programs that are the most industry in demand and that provide the best return for our students. The first step in this shift was the recent launch of the School of Education. And it's a beautiful illustration of the way this new structure will enable us to keep perfecting what we're already doing while expanding our impact and growing our ability to change lives. Today, I will chat about this exciting shift with Mark Milliron, Senior Vice President and Executive Dean of the School of Education. Hey, thanks for being here today, Mark.
Glad to be here.
Super excited to talk to you today about all of the amazing stuff that's going on at the new School of Education. So I'm super excited about this direction and this vision. Can you talk to us a little bit about what this means? Like, how is the world going to be different after just having Teachers College and moving toward this school direction? And how do you see it shaping up as a broader strategy across WGU?
So we're really excited about the idea that we can become champions of next generation teaching, learning, and leading. And the idea of pulling our, unbelievable foundation in Teachers College, which has, for 20 plus years been the difference maker in the world of education. Add in higher education and workforce kind of learning leader programming, do some ideating and kind of beginning work around early college, and then be a part of the becoming of our College of General Education. That family of activity just feels fantastic, and it feels good about positioning us as a school of education to be a catalyst, not only in service for the entire university, but also as a catalyst in the world of education writ large.
Yeah, and of course there's so much going on in the world of education. I mean, if we just start with K through 12, the disruption and the evolution of K through 12 that is being driven by the future of work, that's being driven by our experience during COVID. I mean, there's so much that is going to change just in that single domain. How do you see that change really impacting the future of the Teachers College within this umbrella?
Yeah, it's really important for us to make sure people understand our School of Education in no way means we're leaving behind the work of Teachers College. We are doubling down on the work of Teachers College. We think that with the School of Education and the continued great work of Teachers College, we can make a pretty powerful difference in the world of K-12, doing a few things. One is we want to be that positive and incredibly catalytic voice, try to inspire professionals to enter the K-12 world and lead and really kind of be those champion teachers in that world. There is so much kind of clickbait catastrophe stuff out there talking about how the world's coming to an end in K-12 and teachers are leaving and X, Y. No, we've been growing significantly and our teachers are making a difference in the space. We want to bring that voice. We want to be that positive, productive voice. And then lead the way in conversations around the metaverse, AR and VR, and especially what's really interesting for WGU in particular, there is a real movement around thinking differently about maybe we can leave grades behind and really begin thinking about mastery-based learning, which is competency-based learning, right?
Yeah.
And so if we can lean into that conversation around mastery-based learning and competency-based learning, ensure that our teachers coming out of our programs, our initial licensure programs, our leaders coming out of our Teachers College are able to create the space and catalyze that kind of work in the world of K-12, we're just going to continue making that difference.
Yeah, and that's super exciting. I mean, you sort of answered this, but I would love to just dive a little deeper. Like, what do you think the big problems to be solved for K through 12 are in the upcoming years that Teachers College is really going to focus on?
There's a couple of things. I think one in particular is the need for high-quality professionals to be able to do this work. And so our scale, our ability to, and as you and Scott always say, scale without impact is a scam, impact without scale is a false promise. It is the idea of doing both. We have the chance to make a big difference in that area. Secondly, though, I think we have the opportunity to help lead the way in this conversation. We talk about the notion of healthy learning, which is how can you create an environment, in particular in access institutions. Make no mistake about it, public schools are access institutions. They are gateways for pathways to possibility. How can you create an environment where we can bring the best work in innovation and ideation around DEI work, SEL work, basic needs issues, mental health, character-based education, and really bring that together to create a healthy learning environment. And healthy doesn't mean easy. Healthy means it's an environment where people can rise and thrive and do their life's best work. And that's a challenge, but we want to be a part of that conversation. And then, oh, by the way, leveraging the best models and technology as we're doing it. So there's a lot to do on that agenda, but Teachers College is going to be busy.
Yeah, and a lot to do in a moment in our human history where the need to become a learner and an adaptive learner is more important than perhaps it ever was before. So that's super exciting. And what are some of the other, so, K through 12 is obviously one sector, it's one context where learning and education is super critical, is central. What are some of the other sectors or contexts within this school umbrella that you're thinking about in the realm of learning?
So I think one of the most exciting ones is our Learning Experience Design project. So the Masters of Science in Learning Experience Design and Educational Technology, look at that big acronym going, but LXD as we colloquially call it. LXD is, I think, game-changing. It is the idea of pulling together the best of instructional design, educational technology, and design thinking, and creating this kind of makerspace for next generation learning designers, where people come in and they're a part of that learning design lab, and they decide which sector they want to apply to. They can go into K-12, they can go into higher ed, they can go into employer-based learning leaders, and that program has taken off. We've barely launched it, and we have 450 plus folks starting in July and a fast follow in August around it. And 2/3 of it, by the way, are higher ed and adult learning folks. So we're taking the goodness that has always been our education programs out of Teachers College and sector expanding it through the School of Education move. So we're going to now not only make a difference in K-12, we're going to make a difference in higher ed. We're going to make a difference in employer-based learning leaders. Anywhere where teaching and learning is happening, we want to be there.
Yeah, that is super exciting. And how is that being informed? And I guess how is it informing our innovative model at WGU? I mean, how is it connected to the work that we're actually doing on learning design?
So I think a couple things, and we feel pretty strongly that what we call our TC way, which is fast becoming our School of Education way, which is this idea that we want to be champions of next generation teaching, learning, and leading. But to do that, our students have to experience it, which means we have to make good on that same promise. And that is transformative work, which means we have to figure out the best way to do that. But that whole notion of we want to be in sync with the innovation at WGU, so all the work that is is happening around the Open Schools Skills Network, all the work around skills architectures, all the work around the achievement wallet, whatever it might be, we want to try to weave that into our programming so that students coming out of our programs have some experience and understanding of that. Because truthfully, in the field, people want to send people to WGU because they're going, we want to be able to do some of those things. So I want to teach from there, I want a leader from there who can help us begin that conversation. Remember, you know this, I know this. WGU from the very beginning had this twin mission of making a powerful difference with the students that we serve who are underserved or poorly served. But at the same time, the second core mission is to be a catalyst, to really be a place where we can help the rest of education. Our School of Education should be the home of that catalytic work. Our degree and non-credit program should be totally around that.
Yeah, and I hope that the
Can't tell I'm passionate about that.
Yes, I think the catalytic work that you're doing also allows us to sort of create a flywheel of innovation internally as well. So that is super exciting, and I'm sure that there is much more to come because learning is becoming a central capability of organizations of all kinds, and I think you're set up beautifully to really.
And we have
attend to
so
that.
many team members who are just doing some phenomenal work in that area. I just think I'm so excited about the work of Kim Round, the work of David Bell. I can go name after name after name of people in our college that are leaning into this work and really kind of taking us to the next level.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So another exciting piece of this is that our general education function group that has long sort of moved around to different places in the university as a service for general education courses is moving under this umbrella of the School of Education. What's the future there, and what do you see the evolution of general education looking like as it moves to its new home?
Boy, we are thrilled to welcome the emerging College of General Education into the School of Education. And I think we see three big things happening. First one is continuing that servant leadership role where our College of General Education will work directly with all the programs across all the other schools and colleges at WGU and really power the professions with killer arts and science work as we're driving that. That servant leadership, they've been doing it for a long time, is going to continue and is going to kind of go to the next level. Secondly, I think we are going to, for the first time at WGU, stand up programs that are focused in general education, probably beginning with the Associate of Arts in General Studies, which will work with the early college and others, but then fast follow with the Bachelor of Arts in Interdisciplinary Studies. This is going to give us a lot of options. Our ability to help students have different kinds of off-ramps, but also different kinds of trajectories where we can have somebody get a BAIS and get a master's in public health, go get an MBA, go into a master's in teaching, go and get a master's in IT. But that pathway is a different kind of pathway to different professions, and we know it matters. So that programmatic work is going to be kind of the second leg of that stool. The third piece of it is just the realization that what we know in the world of higher education, if you look at universities all across the country and even around the world, the places where students often experience the most friction and have the most challenges are in those kind of general education courses. And what we want to do is we want to become a bastion of student success science and kind of bring the great work that we've been already doing in Teachers College, but really embrace it with our general education colleagues and really lean into this idea of how can we do the work of student success science to help everybody else, because we think we can make a transformative difference across WGU in partnership with our other schools and colleges to really help more and more diverse students be more successful than ever before.
Yeah, and I'm excited about that too, because as we've seen over the last couple of years, general education is part of the pathway to given professions and job categories and sectors. And we've often thought about it in a fairly generic way at WGU, and it will be exciting to move into a future where we're looking at the general education or the power skills or the enduring skills or whatever we're calling them this week in education, and weaving those into the design of these pathways at the program level.
We don't want them to be checkboxes. We
Yeah.
want them to be deeply integrated with the program so that what we'd love in a kind of long-term vision is to have general education pathways that allow people to apply that writing to the health and field, apply those math skills into IT. Whatever they're learning, like we want it to be integrated and connected with that pathway. We do not want it to be something, well, I'm going to go do that for now and then come back to what I really want to do. General ed should be a part of these integrated programs, and at its best, it is just in deep partnership. So we want, again, from program development to the operations and student services to all the work we're doing, we just have to be at the table to kind of be in that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that in doing so, you can create a model that can extend way beyond WGU, as so many institutions are struggling with this. The other thing that I'm super excited about is that we know at the top of our funnel as students are curious about WGU. We have so many students who really aren't ready to decide, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a cybersecurity attack and defense specialist. They don't really have a sense of what that professional trajectory is. So this gives them options, an option at WGU that is broader based, is more interdisciplinary, that we've never had before. I mean, what's the thinking around that early thinking?
No, it's part of, I think nationally in the student success movements out there is this idea of helping students get to the place where they're declared and prepared, right? And so part of what we can do is be a part of that conversation to help people begin thinking about, one, how do they get prepared to power whatever profession they're going into, but then be able to kind of make that case. But we've never had that opportunity for students to be able to come in and do some of that work. This gives us a space or a place to do it. And I also, it also allows us to power other innovations, right? So different kinds of degrees or micro-credentials that we can then power leveraging general education resources. This becomes a really neat kind of partnership for us to be able to kind of apply those in a really targeted and intelligent way.
Yeah, it is really exciting. Well, I am so excited for the future of the School of Education and the broad-based work that will continue in Teachers College, that will expand beyond to sort of really think about how learning becomes a broader set of degree programs and credentials, and then this general education opportunity that turns into not only this program level service, but also potentially a whole new constellation of programs that's going to really help us to meet the needs of our students. It's such exciting work. I'm so thankful for your leadership of this work.
Well, it's just a broad team. I mean, remember, the College of General Education, our Teachers College serves 36,000 students in a given year. It is the largest, I think, we'll find out from the end, and the National Center for Education Statistics data coming out soon, that we're the #1 college of education in the country. You combine that with our College of General Ed, which now serves 76,000 students in a year. We have been about some powerful, innovative work for a long time. I'm just really excited to see where these leaders take it.
It's going to be amazing. Thanks so much for being here today, Mark.
Thanks, Marty.